Yo, what's going on guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's Bertrude and today we're using a build that is pretty bonkers. This is my darkness build and it's about as wacky as a build can get. Let's take a look at the stats. So we're a level 30 build, we've got 28 vigour, 18 strength, 15 dex, 18 faith and then we've got 13 arcane. In our flask we've got the strength knot and then we've got the faith knot so we can use all of our incantations. And then here's a quick look at the armour and talismans we're using on the build. We've got a few weapons to choose from in this one, including the Pest Glaive, and that's got Giant's Hunt on it. As well as this, we've got the Standard Glaive with Phantom Slash, a really cool Ash of War. Then our last main weapon on the build is the Graveyard Scythe, and that's got the Black Flame Tornado Ash of War. Besides this, in our second weapon slot, we'll always have the Raptor's Talons equipped. Really good claw weapons, and these are equipped with the standard parry. To finish the build off, we've got a selection of incantations, including Darkness, Frenzied Burst, Scouring Black Flame, Aspect of the Crucible Horns, and the Black Flame. And that's the build guys. Like I said, this is about as wacky, quirky, bonkers, ambitious as a build can get. It's a bit of a weird one, and we'll discuss it more as the invasions go on. But for now, sit back and enjoy. Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having an absolutely awesome day and thanks for stopping by yet again, checking out this latest video. On this one, you're going to witness an absolute, hands down masterclass in showcasing the absolute nailed on, no questions asked best spell in the game, and that spell is Darkness. If you go up to another Elden Ring player and say, "Oh, guess what? I've just discovered the absolute hands down best spell in the game and it's Darkness," they'll say, "Ah, actually, I think you're right. I agree with you." In all honesty guys, we all know Darkness is a terrible spell, but a while back I had the idea for this build and I was looking at Darkness and I was thinking, you know, it's just such a goddamn cool spell. Yes, it has its uses in PvE. If you use it against some enemies, it can disorientate them and it gives you a chance to kind of slip away or do whatever you want to do, but you know, it's got to be useful in PvP. There's no chance this spell can be this bad in PvP, and Luke's so cool. So I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take this Darkness spell and I'm gonna turn it into a build, and that is exactly what I did, and this build is what I came up with. So let me just talk you through it and talk you through the thinking behind this build. So we're using the Darkness spell obviously, and the whole idea comes from using the Darkness spell not as like a massive ninja type distraction to move around behind the shadows and reposition, because it's not good enough for that. It doesn't cover a big enough area. In all honesty, it needs some buffs, and if it had some buffs it could be absolutely awesome. It could be so much better, but with the Darkness variation that we've got now, this is the build that we've come up with. So we cast Darkness, and then the idea is that once Darkness has been casted, we use that as like a screening mask. We use it to back up, stand behind, and then we can use our Ashes of War or our other incantations from behind the Darkness, a lot like this now, from behind the Darkness to mask our actions, and then hopefully that will help us land more incantations. Look at this host, by the way. This is a reoccurring theme throughout this video. Absolute coward hosts. Why do this? Why do it? Just fight me. Just fight me. You're not losing anything. You're not losing anything, but you're losing a lot of your pride and self-respect doing this nonsense. This happens quite a few times, I've noticed, and it's been happening quite a lot lately at level 30 as well. So I think the hosts at low level, I think they need to sort their act out, guys. But yeah, let's get back to the point. So we cast Darkness and then we back up and use Darkness as a cover to cast some incantations, so they can't really see what we're doing and then they get surprised by the incantations. Now, do we need Darkness on this build for these incantations to land? Absolutely not. Like, I'm under no illusions that if we didn't have Darkness on this build, these incantations would still probably land 99% of the time. But what I was trying to achieve with this build as you all know, is just create a play style, you know, create something a little bit different. Try and incorporate the darkness spell into the kind of like rotation of the combat in the fights, you know, like darkness back up, cast an incantation, darkness, maybe burst through the darkness with a giant's hunt, burst through the darkness with a phantom slash. I hope I'm kind of getting the point across with what I was trying to achieve with this build. You'll see it a lot during this video, you'll see some of it work, but most of the time you'll see it not work. Do you know what I mean? But I think you can appreciate what I'm trying to do with this build, what I was trying to do. Now, I've had this build for a while. I've made a few videos with it. I've had some successful invasions, some really stylish invasions. But at the minute, as the game stands, with over-leveled phantoms running rife at level 30, and just like everyone catching on a bit more at this point to what incantations everyone's using, what weapons, what Ashes of War, this build at the moment just doesn't feel like the one. It doesn't feel like it's working too well right now. It feels very underpowered. Our stats are all over the place. The base damage on our weapon isn't doing too much. Our incantations and the darkness combination, as cool as it is, I just don't think it's working, and I think this build maybe has had its time. I hate to say it, I hate respeccing builds. I love all my builds, as I said in the last video. I love all my builds and I hate to respec, but I think this build is currently just taking up a character slot in my rotation that could be put to better use. So I think this might be the swan song for this build. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I may tweak it, I may change it completely. I love the fashion on this build, so the fashion will definitely be staying as it is. That's a hands down certified fact. The fashion is not going to change because I absolutely love the fashion, but the weapons and the playstyle may change. But as I said, guys, I hope you kind of just appreciate what I was trying to do with this build. I love making quirky builds. I love making playstyles. And it's worth experimenting with stuff like this. You can see that was a beautiful giant's hunt through the darkness and it landed perfectly. Would that giant's hunt have landed without the darkness? Probably. It probably would. But you know, we're just trying to make use of darkness. Watch this, by the way. How good would this have been if this hit him? How close is that? Ah, it was so close that would have been a beautiful kill. But yeah, I just think, as quirky as I like to make my builds, this one is maybe just pushing it a little too much to the point where it's just not very good at competing with the overlevel phantoms, the constant blues, all of that nonsense that you get, you know, in this game. At level 30 you get a lot of overlevels to deal with, and if a build just is leaning more to the quirky side and the gimmicky side rather than actually being useful, then you're going to struggle. And I think that this build is leaning too much in that direction where it's just not that good at the minute, unfortunately. So I think I'm going to respec, do something different, get my thinking cap on, free up a character slot and do something different. But this is the swan song for the build, so we've got quite a few more invasions yet to watch on this video. We'll talk about it. Let's get into it, guys. Let's start taking a look at these fights and just seeing what this build can actually do when it all goes in our favour. So you could see there we cast darkness and we've gone for the frenzied burst. That is usually the combination that is most reliable. But if there's any kind of movement on our enemy's behalf, you know, like any kind of strafing, whether they know what we're going to do or not, that frenzied burst is going to struggle to actually hit. But the darkness into the frenzied burst is the kind of combination that I turn to the most. But like, speaking of darkness having a buff, if it had a buff, if it casted a bit quicker, if it covered a wider area, if it even just lasted a little bit longer, it just gives you the options to do so much. Like, imagine the kind of ninja build that you could make with darkness if it was just buffed in a few small minor ways. But yeah, we got a nice backstab on the horse there, spamming the waves at us. We hit him with the crucible horns and then we do a quick swap to our claws and get a really nice kill on the summon there. As you could see, it was just a really nice combo, and then that's a kind of good example of when this build's working. It can really work well, and it can lead to some really nice stylish combos. But anyway, we're on the host and I don't know where this other summon came from. Where was he before? I have absolutely no idea. So at this point I was like, I just need to kill the horse. I don't want to risk dying to this summon. I just killed the first summon in a really stylish way, so it'd be an absolute nightmare to die to the second summon before I kill the horse. So I just went absolutely balls out there trying to kill the horse because I really wanted to win that invasion. Now this is a good one, guys. This is a good one. Darkness there, useless. I don't know why I cast Darkness there. That was no need to do that. And then again, I made a big mistake here. Casting Darkness, I thought maybe cast Darkness and then they're going to push onto me and I could use a Black Flame Tornado as they run through the Darkness, but the summon caught up to me and managed to get a backstab, and now I'm really on the back foot. God knows what level this summon is. He's got the Bull Goat's monstrosity armour on. He's spamming the Moonveil at me. He's doing incredible damage, so I'm really on the back foot here. I'm really in trouble. Like, this summon is giving me some big problems. So at this point I'm thinking this might be a loss. This might be a loss, but I'm not chucking the towel in. I'm trying to back up, give myself a little bit of space. And then I start thinking the only way to get the upper hand on this summon is going to be to get a parry. If I can get a parry on the summon, get some damage in there with a critical attack, get him panicking a little bit. You know, I can't risk fighting him one-on-one. He's got the Bull Goats, he's doing this ridiculous damage, he's spamming the Moonveil. But because he's spamming the Moonveil, I'm thinking I can use that against him. So I'm backing up, I'm just waiting for the right time. Draw him in with a heal. Nice. We get a nice parry on him. Get parried in your stupid, big, fat frog. Get parried in your big, fat, frog-head face. And look at him. He's still half health. And he's running like an absolute little girl. Now we're staying with the claws, because the good thing about the claws is, especially against over levels like this, if you can get a blood proc on them, that's another big chunk of damage. Another big chunk of damage, and that's probably the only way we actually had a chance against that summon there. But it all went to plan, and now we can just focus on taking out this host. So we have a bit of a nice scrap with the host. We're getting the upper hand on him, guys. It's just a done deal at this point. He's got his own bloody daggers. So, you know, he's still in with a chance. But look at this. Speaking of coward hosts, once again, guys, once again, he pulls the plug. He pulls the plug. Now, this is sweet. We all know getting a DC, forcing someone to quit, we all know that's better than an actual win. But again, it just goes to show the calibre of the host in this game at the minute. Sort yourselves out, guys. Have a bit of self-respect about yous. Have a bit of pride, man. Don't pull the plug. I'm just an invader. I'm not that scary. I've got a stupid, horrible, quirky, not very good build. You've got two blood daggers that you can just spam in my face, and maybe you could get a big blood proc and kill me. You know, you never know, but don't quit. Don't take the coward's way out. Have a bit of pride, guys. Come on. Now on to the next one. We've got this duo. And if you look at the host here, you've probably noticed that he is just super eager to just spam the Ash of War on that Stormhawk axe. We're in the water. It's an electrified axe, you know, it's... he's got the voltages working on his side. He's very eager to catch me in that tornado. So I'm very eager not to get caught in it, you know what I mean? I'm very eager not to let him catch me in that electric cyclone of death. Yeah, that wouldn't work out in my favour too well, but you can see him. Every time he gets near me, he's just doing the old spinneroonie, spinny McSpin, trying to just blend me up into a cyclone vortex of absolute nightmarish electrifying electricity. And I don't want to get stuck in that if I can help it, so I'm trying to be really careful here. But this was a pretty mad invasion. This was a really good one. This went on for about 7.5 minutes. Like, I've cut it down, obviously, because it was a bit drawn out. There was a lot of just running around. Every time I get the upper hand, the summon just... The host, sorry, just goes running, trying to respawn his summons in. So it was a bit of a long one, but it was a real war when it boils down to it. It was a bit of a war of attrition. It was a good invasion overall. But it was a bit of a weird one, like I said. The horse did a lot of running, just trying to spam me with that tornado. But good invasion overall. There's another massive drawback to this build as well, guys, which I haven't actually mentioned. I've only just started to mention it now. You probably noticed in the intro when I was talking about the flask, and we're using the faith knot in the flask to give us 10 extra faith, which then allows us to use the majority of the incantations on this build. So we don't actually have the base stats to use. I think we've got like 6 incantations on the build off the top of my head. I think our base stats only allow us to use like 2 or 3. So we use our flask, and then we've only got 3 minutes in which this build is actually working to its full effect. So we've only got 3 minutes in which we can get the combos off with darkness. and we've got access to the other incantations, and then after those 3 minutes are up, it's just down to the weapons. So that's another massive drawback on this build. It's like, if the invasion lasts longer than 3 minutes, I may as well not even use the incantations that I've got, because, you know, I'm just down to the weapons at that point. So that's another thing that's been playing on my mind with this build. I don't mind doing that with certain builds, you know, if it gives you access to like 1 or 2 spells on the build for like 3 minutes, and then you're down to your weapons or your other incantations and spells that you've chosen. That's absolutely fine. I do that on a lot of my builds actually. But doing it on this one, where you're relying on the flask to actually create the play style of the build, and then you've only got it for 3 minutes, it's kind of a bit pointless. And I've been thinking that the last couple of times I've used this build actually. It feels like it's just not how it should be. Like, if I wanted to make this build as it is now, I should make it at a higher level where I actually have access to the incantations for as long as it takes to win the invasion or lose the invasion. But having it as it currently is, 3 minutes, and then it's just down to the weapons that I'm using, yeah, it's just not sitting too well with me, guys. So despite the fact that the build's not feeling very strong at the minute, add that into the mix as well, that it's only fully effective for 3 minutes, and it's just, yeah, it's pretty much solidified the idea to me that I need to tweak it, I need to change it. But I'm having a think. If anyone's got any suggestions in the comments, let me know if there's anything you'd like to see. I'm thinking about the geyser or the geezer's wheel, you know, the one, the pizza cutter. I've never actually used that. I was looking through a list of all the weapons and stuff earlier on, and I think I've used like 99% of the weapons in this game on builds already, or at least like weapons that cover a wide area of that particular weapon type selection. You know, I've not used every halberd, but I've used a lot of halberds, so I don't want to just use, I don't want to make a halberd build. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to think of a build now that gives me something different, and the geezer's wheel is definitely something different. So I was thinking maybe making a build that incorporates that. Oh, God knows, I don't know, guys. I'm going to have a think. But this is where this is where Elden Ring gets so exciting, when you open a character slot. Look at this, by the way, another coward host. There you go, jump off the edge. Just jump off the edge, just kill yourself. Don't fight me. Don't think about fighting me if I'm in a fighting game. Just jump off the edge so you don't have to. I don't get it, guys. I don't know why they do that. But yeah, so I'm thinking about the geezer's wheel. Maybe I'll have a look at the spells and incantations, see if there's any other ones that I've not used before that I want to incorporate. I'm thinking about maybe the geezer's wheel in the main hand, and then keeping this glaive with a phantom slash in the offhand, or maybe even using the commander's standard in the offhand. I've never used that halberd before. Maybe that in the offhand with the geezer's wheel in the main hand. I don't know. I'm going to have a think. Guys. I'm going to put my little brain to work and have a think. Get those clogs turning. You know what I'm like, guys. You know what I'm like. There'll be a new build soon. But anyway, this is the last invasion of the video. I hope you've enjoyed this one. I think this one's been a little bit different. I'll give you a little insight into my brain with this build. But like I say, I hope you kind of get what I was going for with this one. I think when I first made it, I thought it was working a lot better than it is at the moment. I don't know if it's just because everyone's catching on a bit more and getting used to the incantations and the spells, but yeah, I think it's time for change with this build. But anyway, we'll let this one play out in the background. But thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for watching, as always. I appreciate every single one who drops by. Give me a comment. Let's have a little chat. Like the video. Subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Take it easy, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.